Hey yo, what up, what up? No. That's not my intro. Rewind. Yeah. Hi, hello. My name's Robin Lambert. I'm 18 years old and I'm living with cerebral palsy, but you guys know me as the T-Rex and you're watching My T-Rex Life. Okay guys, today I wanted to talk about a few different things. I want to talk about disability, I want to talk about fashion, and I want to talk about staring. Now, while these things might seem a little bit random, for me they're kind of all linked. So, as you know, it's a hot topic, it's often talked about when you have a disability, when you have a limp, or you use assistive technology, or you're in a wheelchair, you often get stared at. And this is kind of seen to be a negative thing. I mean, we know why people do it. It's because, you know, we're underrepresented in the media, we just don't have the exposure, so people kind of still see people with disabilities as an other. And also, you know, there's still this kind of negative perception of disability within our society. You know, we're still kind of seen as victims, and, you know, we're seen as being naive and, you know, people that, you know, others should pity. But anyway, that's not what I'm interested in. Today, I want to talk about using staring as an opportunity to educate, and how my style and my fashion and my personality is interlinked with my disability, in that I am trying to change the perception of disability. So I know more than, say, the average person with a disability. I, you know, get stared at a lot. But, I mean, I roll around in a bright green wheelchair with stickers all over the wheels, you know, I got brightly coloured hair, I'm usually wearing, like, silly hats or, like, some crazy t-shirt or something. So I think people will kind of take a glance at me in the first place. But also, you know, when I'm rolling down the street in my 6'4", when I'm rolling down the street in my wheelchair, people often come up to me and they're like, whoa, yeah, like, you look cool, and like, oh wow, I love blah blah blah. And anyways, while I appreciate the compliments and, you know, I'm mad happy about that, I think the reason they do it is because my style and my look kind of breaks their perception of what a disabled person should look like. You know, because of the history of sort of disabled people being, like, seen as the other, and, like, being raised in slightly different ways and all that kind of stuff. Traditionally, disabled people haven't always been that trendy, or, you know, they haven't been seen as being all that trendy, and, like, so when they see me and I'm all like, wow, you know, it's kind of like, whoa, disabled person, what, huh? But, like, don't get me wrong, there's, like, heaps of really rad people now, with disabilities, that, you know, their style and their personality is just, like, crazy. You know, we've got, Annie, and, Katie Beattie, and, you know, Jack for the dudes, and just, like, heaps of really rad people pushing the boundaries and, you know, just being awesome. Which is, you know, to be expected. Within every group there's going to be awesome people and there's going to be not so awesome people. And with disability being the biggest minority in the world, there's going to be a whole bunch of really awesome people. You know, it's to be expected. It shouldn't be a big shock that, you know, there's cool people with disabilities. But, that being said, you know, for some people, they still have this perception of what it means to be disabled. So for me, you know, I was always going to be stylish, like my mom's cool and my dad's cool, and, you know, I've always been interested in fashion, but for me, now, style and clothes just adds another layer to my identity. So when people see me, they're not just seeing the wheelchair, but they're also sort of forced to see something else. They're forced to still see the style that I have, and, you know, the way that I portray myself. So, but like I said, when people stare, I don't take it as to be a big negative thing. Like, sometimes I genuinely think they're just probably, like, checking me out, you know, digging my style or whatever. But, you know, I also like to acknowledge the person that's staring at me, because then that sort of breaks this, you know, wall that we're, like, different because they have a disability. And especially if it's kids, I really like to engage with them, because then that teaches them that, you know, someone in a wheelchair, they aren't, you know, different. you know. And, you know, with having the stickers on my chair and stuff, it's like really engaging for kids, and they think like, wow, that's cool. So then they don't, like, from an early age, they don't have this negative perception of what it means to be in a wheelchair, you know. Being in a wheelchair can be a really cool thing. Like, I have kids like, whoa, mom, check out a wheelchair, or like, that's so cool, I want one, you know. So that's awesome. Don't get me wrong, I do find it a bit awkward, like, especially when older people are like just staring at me. Like, I had this one girl in London, and she was like staring at me so much that she actually like walked into a post, or like there was another chick who was staring at me, and like she just stopped and was like, as if like she'd never seen a person in a wheelchair before, and her boyfriend literally had to come back, like grab her hand and like walk her away. And like I said, it might be because of the way I'm dressed, you know, like I don't exactly dress like your typical 18-year-old girl. And, you know, sometimes I think people are probably just trying to figure out whether I'm a boy or a girl. But I do think it has a lot to do with being disabled, and the perception that still is lying within our society of, yeah, like what it means to be disabled. So that's why I think it's really important that we have people like Annie and Jack and Katie and all the other rad people that I follow on YouTube and Instagram really just putting themselves out there and working as a group to sort of change these perceptions. So my advice to you, if you're disabled and you're getting stared at a lot, is not to take it to heart, but to engage those people. And you never know, it might start off a really great conversation, and you might completely change that person's, you know, whole outlook on what it means to be disabled. The more that we put ourselves out there, the more society is going to be forced to see who we are, and be forced to see past our disabilities, and see that, you know, deep down we're all the same, we all have our unique things going for us. You know, we might have these physical challenges, but it doesn't really make us all that different. And, you know, this is only going to lead to other cool things. If we put ourselves out there, a lot of people are going to start noticing, and it's going to, you know, trickle into the media and all of the other outlets that, you know, a lot of people want to be a part of as a disabled person. Every time I see a story on the news about someone breaking into New York Fashion Week with a disability, or someone being on the TV, it makes me so happy, because I know that the change is coming. And I know that kids, you know, in the generation after us aren't gonna, you know, having a disability isn't gonna put any doubts in their head about what they can achieve when they're older. They're gonna know that anything's possible, and if you put your mind to it, you know, you can achieve anything, whether you're disabled or not. So guys, let me know what you thought of this video, and remember to stay shiny, because I love yous. Peace out.